Hi guys, welcome back to part 2 where we got to finish the body and move on to doing his face and ears and shirt. Oh, and the muzzle, his muzzle. So let's finish this guy here. We're just gonna jump right into it, no point chit-chatting. So we left with off at the 7 rows that you had to do for his shoulders and stuff like that. So we're going to increase a bit for his belly in this row. So we're going to do a 2 single crochet increase. So that's number 1, number 2, and then an increase. This is going to bring you up to 72 stitches. So because he's kind of a chunky monkey. So repeat that, 2 single crochet increase. So now that we've increased for his belly, I want you to do 6 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 72 stitches. And then when we come back, we're going to start decreasing. So if you don't have your head full, like my head's not full yet, I would at least fill the head. And I will see you on the other side. So I am done my 6 rows. So we're going to start decreasing now. Because we have oddball numbers, we may or may not be able to finish our decreases, depending on what numbers you have. It could be very different from mine. But I'm going to start with a 5 single crochet decrease. So just do whatever you can fit, and then whatever extra stitches you have, just put a single crochet in them. So that's number 1. It's 5 single crochets and then your decrease. So I'm at the end of my sequence, and just like my last one, I have 2 stitches left. So I'm going to put a single crochet in each of them. This is what happened on my last doll as well. So each decrease row from here, you're going to always have 2 stitches left. And we're going to drop down by 10. So your next row is going to be 4 single crochets in a decrease, 10 times, and 2 single crochets. You don't have to do the 10 times, just do your 4 single crochet decrease, and then whatever's left, put your single crochets in there. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your decrease. So because we're layering decreases again, you can either do invisible stitches, or you can do your invisible decrease, or you can do just do it loosey-goosey, don't pull tight. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets in a decrease. Three single crochets and then your decrease. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 32 stitches. And then you can do 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 32 stitches. That's 2. I put my marker number 1, and then your decrease. So start putting a little bit of stuffing in there. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. So we're going to do that for 2 rows, 1 single crochet decrease. The first round will take you down to 22 stitches. The second one will take you down to 15. So I'm going to put that up on my screen, and just make sure you stuff this guy really good up around here, the neck area, because you don't want a wobbly head. And I will see you on the other side. So I am done. I got this tiny little hole, and I am gonna just decrease about 7 times. You can do whatever. This is gonna be hard to show you. I'm gonna decrease 7 times, and then we can cinch this hole up, and then we are done his body. I know you're not gonna be able to see it. I'm at a very bad angle. Well, that's 6 times. I think that's good enough for me. I'm just going to go into the next stitch. I'm going to fasten off. So you just need a tail that's big enough to cinch and to weave, and that is it. So you're going to go in just the front loop and out just the front loop, just like that.
All the way around.
So if you feel like you need some more stuffing, now's the time to put it in before you cinch it up, and then you just pull. So you're gonna have to come across and put a knot in there to hold that cinch nice and tight. I'd like to put 2. And then you can just weave back and forth a few times and snip it off. So that is the body. So this is what mine looks like. I left him pretty squishy, but if you can push on it and it bounces back, then you have enough stuffing. So I probably could have used some more up here, but I'm putting arms up here. It's going to make the body suck in like this. Plus he's going to have a shirt on, so that won't be noticeable. So, let's do the muzzle next. So the muzzle is making a magic ring. You're going to do 6 single crochets inside. Next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after the first one, that gets the marker. That is 12. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase, bringing you up to 18 stitches. That's 1 single crochet, and then your increase is 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 24 stitches. And then I want you to do 4 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 24 stitches, and that would be the end of your muzzle. That's number 1, that's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So this is what it should look like, and you can fasten off. You're going to need a sewing tail. It gets sewed on open, and we're going to stuff it. So you can pull yours, go into the next stitch and pull your thing through. It's way better for sewing, and when you pull up it kind of evens that out a little bit. So the last things we really need to do are ears, and then we can start sewing stuff. So the ears are quick, actually. I'm going to use this little bit of yellow I have to use this up. So we're going to make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. And get into it. That stitch can be hard to get into. I'm just going to count to 12. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet increase. So that's my 1 single crochet. And the next stitch gets an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And then you should have 18 stitches, and then you can do 4 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 18 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that is my 4 rows. I'm going to go into the next stitch and I'm going to fasten off. Now you're going to need a sewing tail. You're going to need a sewing tail to whip stitch this shut. I'll show you in a minute. And then enough to sew it to the head. So you need to turn this so that this is on the side. So a whip stitch generally is back loop to back loop, but I'm just going to use the whole all 4 pieces, so that both these on both sides. Does that make sense? Because I'm struggling to say it, so I hope it makes sense. And I'm just going to whip stitch. So from this side I'm going to come back around to this side. So it makes a loop like that. So when we do sew it on the head, we're going to sew it on so it's concaved, which means it's going to sink in. So we're going to sew it in, sew it on so that it's concaved, which means that. And then I'd like to put some makeup in to darken that area a little bit, so we'll go through that too. So, I think first of all though, we need to sew the muzzle on. Then we can sew the face on, and then we'll have a better idea of the ears. I think that's the way we're gonna go, and then we'll do arms and legs. Make your second ear, and I will meet you right back here. So I'm going to do my best to stay on camera, but I've got my camera up really high, so I'm not even sure what you're looking at. But sometimes with big dolls like this, and I mean actually he's a lot smaller than I wanted to make him. I wanted to make him the same size as my Care Bears, but it's a big doll. So I am going to pin this on. Alright. I'm going to cut this a little bit, because that's going to drive me nuts. So it still wants to stick out. So I'm going to start kind of over on the bottom, just so that kind of crooked spot can't really be seen. So it doesn't really matter at this point where you pin this guy on. I get some big pins here, because you don't really have a body like right at the moment. So I just made sure I left enough for his mouth. I just put right under the nose, so I mean it's literally right at the neck. So it's very difficult to try to squeeze everything in, but it can be done. I know right now it's hard to even tell that I'm going to be able to get eyes and eyebrows on here with the ears, but I managed to with my other one. So I'm just going to go in and out of the stitches like this. I'm not going to screw around with invisible stitches or anything, because this actually, I find, has a better hold when you go in and out. So I go back up the same stitch I just came out, but I go up into a different stitch on the nose. So technically I'm just moving my yarn. I go back down the same stitch, or a different stitch, sorry, the next stitch. I go back up the same space here and into the next stitch. So that's all I'm gonna do, is just sew that way. It's quicker. I find it gives a better hold. I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way around, and then I'm going to start putting some stuffing in there. It'll be a lot easier to sew. I'm in my last spot where I started. So I'm just going to go down into the doll. I'm going to pop out wherever I pop out, and I'm just going to weave a couple of times. So anywhere you might have pulled too tight, like I did just there, just pop it out with your needle. There, we've got the muzzle on. It's going to be a lot easier to do the face. So, you just need to take some black And again, if I'm not on camera, I'm very sorry. This is not easy to do, sewing on camera. So you're just going to tie a knot on one end, and you're going to thread the other end. So his nose, so it doesn't really matter where you come in, it just matters where you come out. So as far as his nose, I started on the point and I went back. So I just came across and went out the same hole I was just in. Oops, try not to split that piece of yarn. And then I just got bigger as I went. So then I come across again, but I kind of go right next door. You kind of just got to jab your needle down there. And I went a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. So that's all I did, back and forth. So you can go up and down the same holes as many times as you want. Before you move on, you don't need to move on right away. I can go back down this old hole so I can fill this gap in. There's no science to this. It's just whatever it is. So from here, I'm just going to scooch down. I'm going to come across here because I'm over on this side. I'm going to scooch down into my face to start making the mouth. Straighten my nose out. So I came out on the side here. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to come down to the middle, because I can't get my needle all the way across. I'm going to go back up over here, and I'm going to pop out, preferably across the way. You don't need to pull tight or anything. No, I don't like that. You did not go in the right spot. So try to find a way that you're going to go in. I hope you can see this. So even if you have to extend past your black line, so I'm just moving it over to the side, because when I come across and pull, I come across in the right spot. I come across and pull, you're not going to be able to tell that I went past it. It'll just look like it's coming out of it. Do you know what I mean? Just don't pull as tight as I did. So I think I'm roughly in the same spot I was over there. So I'm going to come down next to it, and I'm going to come out this same hole down here. And then again, I'm going to push this kind of to the side. I'm going to come out somewhere down here. So you don't have to pull that tight. And then if you've got some yarn, I do not have enough. I'll have to get more yarn. But you just go back and forth just like you did the nose, but you do it in the mouth area. And I do not have enough, so I have to get more. So I'm going to just tie this in a knot because I'll poke it down. I've got some more yarn, so I'm going to go in again because I've got a knot now. So I'm going to come back over here because to make the mouth, I just went back and forth across this area like I was telling you. Same thing we did with the nose. You just go back and forth a few thousand times. So that's what I did for the mouth. Now you can make it wider. My other one actually was wider. That's my other one. It was wider than that one, but you can do whatever you want because it's your Pooh Bear. So I'm satisfied with that. I'm going to go back in here, but then I'm going to pop out up here. I'm not going to do anything yet because I want to sink in where I'm putting the eyes. So I just need a piece of yellow. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to do this part. But I just want to sink in for the eye sockets.
So again, I'm just going to tie a knot. And I'm going to thread the other end.
So you just need to determine, put his head back into shape. You just need to determine, I'm going to poke this down from his nose. So it doesn't matter where you come in, it just matters where you come out. Determine where you want your eyeballs to be. His are fairly close to his muzzle. So when you come in, you're going to go down right or up. I can still fit an eyebrow in there, but I'm going to come down because his eyes are fairly close to his muzzle if you look at a picture. So I'm just coming down into the next stitch, and I'm going to pop out over where I want the next eye to go. And I'm going to go up the next stitch and over. And then when I pull, I'm going to just pinch in those two spots that I want sunken in. And that sinks in your eye sockets, like that, if you can see them. So that is where I'm going to put my black. So I can just pop out with this yellow up here. For now. So now that I've got that sunk where I want my black eyes, I'm going to go back up the same hole I was just in. And I'm going to come out into the eye socket. So I basically just made an eye socket. So his go up and down, but you can do side to side if you want. So you're just going to go up and down. So I'm going to go to the top of that socket I just made. And I'm going to go back out where I was just at. And I'm going to do that a couple of times. The whole point of the sockets is to kind of give them a little more definition. So his eye obviously needs to be bigger than that. So you just keep going until it's as big as you want. So once you're satisfied, you can pop over to the next eye socket. And the only tricky part about this is trying to keep your eyes the same size. So once you're satisfied with that, if you have enough black, and again, if you want your eyes to be, just pull on this yellow. Once you're satisfied with how your eyes look, mine might be a little crooked. You can make a knot with your yellow. Cut it off a bit and poke it down. And then the eyebrows, if you got enough black, you can just come up. And across. So you can decide how you want your eyebrows, whether you want them diagonal or not diagonal. And then you do the same thing, you just go in and out a few times. I'm gonna have to get some more black for the other side, but make sure they're happy eyebrows. I'll have to get some more black, but I'm just gonna go down and pop out somewhere. And then I can just cut this off. I think it's weaved in enough because I took it all over the place that it's not gonna go anywhere. So I'm just gonna cut a little, leaving a little nubby here. I'm gonna poke this down. Take care of my yellow. I'm gonna do my other eyebrow and then I'll meet you back and we'll start sewing some other stuff on. So now that we got the face done, we can get the ear sewn on. So that's my guy. That's my ears. Had I done this on camera, it would not have gone well. So, if you have a really long needle like this is probably gonna be way better than something like this. The arms and legs are getting sewn on through and through, so it's gonna make your bear. Let me get my other leg. Oh, that's my arm. So it's going to make your bear look like that. Down lower. So this'll, if you don't want your arms and legs to move, you don't need to do this. I need to move over though. To about there. Did not come out the right spot. So I'm just a couple of rows down. Determine where you want your legs. And I mean, the easiest way to determine that is to make him sit and then figure out roughly where his leg is going to go in. So when he's sitting, I would say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th or 7th row up. Just make sure you're going to go in the middle of his body. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Between the 6th and 7th row, I've got to come out even across between the 6th and 7th row. Now I'm not counting this jarbled mess. So that's all you got to do. Make sure it's even across here. Make sure you're in the middle of the guy here. And you're coming out the same space. So, this is where I like to get my other leg. And I don't even have that out the other side, so get your other leg. I don't know if I'm on camera. The camera is so high right now. I am popped out the wrong side, so I just got to go down and come out the other side. Now my other leg was 2 rows down, so I got to make sure that this is 2 rows down and in the center of the leg. So I'm not sewing, just moving my yarn. So the reason I didn't do anything with this and I just left it was because I want to be able to come down the same hole. I don't want to have to go through this nonsense again. So I just want to come down the same hole. And then I'm going to go right through the leg that I have here, even though that's not... Oh, my leg is crooked. Let's not get my leg crooked. So I'm going to come through the leg, making sure the legs is straight, and then I'm going to pull this through. So that's how you're going to do it. It's so hard to show you on camera. And then you can pull as tight as you want. at this point. So now you just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I'm going to go back into the leg, but I'm going to go right next to my lead. So I'm going to go back into the leg, but I'm going to go right next to this guy. That way I don't have that big of a divot, because you're going to end up with a divot. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to pop out, oops, into the other leg, preferably around the same spot that I went in before. So preferably in the middle, basically is what I'm trying to say. So this is again very hard to do. A lot easier to do off camera when you can hold it close to your body. So I'm going to come out, I've got this string here, I'm going to come out just beside this leg. Again, you can pull as tight as you want. I want my guy to sit like this. So I'm going to try not to pull extremely tight. I'm going to tie these two pieces. It's just added security, and nobody's going to see it underneath the leg. And then one of these is going to get, one of these will get just weaved in, and the other one we're going to continue to sew with. So you can go in and out as many times as you want. So I'm not going back down into the leg, I'm going to go down into the doll, and I'm going to come out into this leg. I'm kind of on the top, but I can move that around. So I just want to scooch down here, because I don't want to go into multiple spots. I just want to keep going in and out in the same area. So you can do it as many times as you want, depends on the size of the divot that you want. So once you are done and satisfied, just go back down into the doll, pop out somewhere. You don't really need to do a whole lot of weaving, since you just kind of went back and forth a million times between your legs. So this can just get a knot with the nubby and push down. This guy here, he gets weaved in, so go as close as you can to underneath here. So wherever you've pulled too tight, you can just go in and pull back out. And we do the exact same thing with the arms. So, oops. So to make this video shorter, I'm going to let you go and do the arms, and I will meet you back here and we'll get the shirt started. So I didn't go back and forth as many times with the arms as I did the legs, but they are movable. And my divots aren't that big. You can actually buy these little things from Hobby Lobby sells them that you can put inside the doll to attach the legs before you complete the doll. So after I made my knot, I'm just going to weave in both these pieces at this point. I'm not going to continue to go back and forth like I did the legs, because I don't feel it's necessary. I feel like when I did that with the legs, it was almost too much. They move, though. I mean, they're still movable. You can make them sit or stand. But I just feel like I didn't need to make my leg divots that big. So just go in as close as you can to that, and you can weave. And that way nobody sees that at all. So that is that. Let's go get some red and we'll get this shirt done. So I got my red, whatever color red you want. This is an old Red Heart 4-weight red. I don't really use it for anything. I'm not a big fan of Red Heart, so I'm just using my 4.5 still. So I want you to make a slip knot, and I want you to chain 57. So once you've got your 57, you're going to come back up here and you're going to join using a slip stitch. Just like that. And you're going to chain 2. We're going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch around for 3 rows. And each round you're going to put, in each new round, you're going to put a half double in your slip stitch chain 2 space. You're going to put a half double in that same space. Because, and I'll come back and show you, because I don't want a seam, like that'll help cut down on the seam that we're gonna do. And for every row, for every single row, you're gonna slip stitch chain 2 and put half double crochet in that same space. So I will continue around, you can continue around, and I will meet you back here after the first round and I'll show you what I mean, and then I'll leave you to do the other 2. So for now, just worry about doing 1, and I'll see you on the other side. So I just got a couple more stitches before I'm back around. 1 more. So this is where I connected. So I'm going to go into this first space. I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to chain 2. And then in this chain 2 space, that's what I want you to do before starting the second row. So of course this is what you're going to have, and now for the next 2 rows it's going to be a lot easier because you have stitches, bigger stitches. So for the next 2 rows you're going to put 1 half double in each stitch around. So we've used one of the stitches, we chained 57, so you should have 56 stitches. So I'm back around again. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this first chain. I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to put a half double in that same space. So my next round is going to be 2 half doubles and a decrease. So that's number 1. That's number 2. So a half double decrease is you're going to yarn over, go into your first stitch, pull through 2 and stop, yarn over, go into your second stitch, pull through 2, then pull through 3. That's a decrease in a half double. And repeat. 2 half doubles, and a decrease. Yarn over, go into your first stitch, pull through 2 and stop. Yarn over, go into your second stitch, pull through 2, pull through 3. Repeat this all the way around, and at the end you should have 38 stitches. So I'm on my last decrease. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain. I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to put a half double in that same space. So we're going to start building some armholes. So I want you to do 6 half doubles. Those 6 half doubles. You're going to chain 9. You're going to skip 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. And in this 9th stitch, you're going to put a half double. It's not easy to put a half double in here. Everything wants to turn. That counts as 1. You're going to do 14 half double crochets. That counts as 1. That's my 14. Then I'm going to chain 9. I'm going to skip 8. I'm going to skip 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. And then the 9th one, I'm going to put a half double. Half double's not easy to make after you do that. And then you're just gonna half double all the way back to your chain 2 space. So that's number 1. So I have 6. And then I'm gonna slip stitch to the top of that first chain. And I'm going to chain 2. So, you don't have much of a seam. Mine's crooked for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on. I think I get a crooked seam because I go literally into this first space instead of, like, I go into here. Actually, I have to with my double, or with my half double. Sorry, put a half double in that same space. But I go into this stitch instead of this stitch afterwards, and I think that's why I get a crooked seam. Anyway, I am better with amigurumi than I am at this seam business, but... So now that we have our armholes, we're going to do 1 half double in each stitch all the way around. And that means the stitches here too. because we need to build little sleeves after. So you're gonna have to go into each of these stitches. Not as bad as it sounds. So I am back around. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain. Excuse me. I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to put a half double in that same space. So now we're going to do front post only, half doubles. And that's going to put a nice ridge on the top, and we're going to do the same on the bottom. It's going to be a nice ridge. It'll actually be like it'll feel like it is actually a sweater, or a short sleeve sweater, a shirt. So these are your front posts. So that's what we're going to be going around, just the front posts in a half double. So you're going to yarn over. You're going to put the post on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and finish the stitch. And you're going to do that with every single one. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So you're doing the stitch, your same stitch, you're just doing it around the post. Half double. All the way around. And it is going to put a ridge on your shirt. So I'm back around. I got one more post I have to go around. Oops. So again, I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this first chain. I am going to fasten off. Just need enough for weaving. So, we still got to do the bottom, and then we got to do the arms. Put little sleeves on there, but in the meantime, let's go through here to the other side, and you can weave. And then over here, we need to take care of this business. This can get weaved in, I suppose, when we reattach. I'm just going to weave this guy in. So, we're going to get our yarn. We're going to make a slip knot. So, find your spot to reattach. Doesn't really matter where you reattach. Just reattach. So don't worry that that's just a single. That's just your reattach spot. So put a half double crochet in that same space. So all we're going to do for this round is we're going to do a half double crochet in each space around. So you've got the bottom of the chain. This is what we're working into. So when we started this, we did our chain 57, and for the most part you just went into the top part. So now we're just working into this bottom part. So it's pretty thin, but it'll be fine. So I am back around. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain, just like we've been doing all along. I'm going to chain 2, and put a half double in that same space, and now I'm going to front post only a half double crochet like I did all along the top. I want to do all along the bottom. So I'm going to weave in my tail as I do it. You don't have to, you can weave it in after if it's easier for you. So just go around the post again, exact same thing we were doing before, and do your half double crochet. So I'm back around. I got one more post to go around, and I can fasten off, and then we're just going to reattach over at the armholes. So you just need enough for weaving. Not much to the armholes. I actually decided not to weave this in because I decided I was going to use it. So I'm just going to scooch on the inside. I'm going to tie these in a knot. And that'll be my security blanket. Then I'm going to weave both ends. That way I know that that's just not going to pop open. Not that I think that it will. I mean, it's just a shirt for Pooh Bear, so it's not like there's a whole lot of activity going on, you know. But you never know, kids can be quite rough. You don't need to do that. I did it, but you don't need to do it if you don't want to. If you don't think there's any need. So you know who's getting this and where it's going to, I'm pretty sure. So it's just an option. So my seam is completely crooked, but thank God it's not that noticeable. I always get a crooked seam. I don't know what I do wrong. So there's your shirt. So it's got this nice wide bottom, nice wide top. So we just need to reconnect the armholes and do a little bit of a decrease in there. So just make your slip knot. Find a spot to connect. Doesn't matter where. I'm going to do this corner right there. So it doesn't matter where you reconnect much. Just wherever you reconnect, you're going to put a half double in that same space. So for now, I just want you to do a half double in every stitch around. And then we'll decrease our second row. This corner of your arm hole, you just have to stick your hook wherever you think you should stick it. It's kind of really not stitches there, so. So I don't know how many are here. Initially, my computer says 20. So if you can manage to get 20 half doubles, then I should have counted for my other arm. So I don't really have any more. That's just an elongated stitch, which I'm into. So I'm going to come over here to the top of this first stitch. And I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to chain 2. So you have to put a half double in there anyway. So let's do this as counts as 1 for this 2 half double decrease. So that's number 1. That's number 2. And then your half double decrease. and repeat. I'm not going to be able to get my other sequins in. I'm not going to be able to get a decrease in here. So I've only got one stitch. I'm just going to put a half double in there. And then I'm going to slip stitch. Maybe. Good thing I don't make clothes for a living, huh? I make way better dolls than clothes. Chain 2. So your last round is just going to be 1 half double crochet in each stitch. Should have 14 stitches. Yeah, I got 14. I'm almost surprised I have 14, but I have 14. So, I'm just going to go into this next stitch, where normally I would slip stitch, and I'm going to fasten off. So, I'll put what you got to do for your next armhole. Go ahead and do that, and I will meet you right back here. I'm just going to weave everything in, do my other armhole, and I'll meet you back. So I'm just finishing up my shirt, my other arm. So I'm going to come through and I'm going to just weave my way down to where I attached. Pull too hard on that. And I'm just going to tie this in a knot before I complete this. Now because it's just a shirt that's going on a bear, after your double knot, I just snipped mine off, leaving some little nubbies because I don't want it to, the knot to pull through. But it's just a shirt for a bear, so that's why I did that. So this is my shirt. It definitely looks better on the bear. So let's put it on the bear. So the shirt does kind of make the arms stick out a little bit more than they were before, but I just tried to stick them further up the armpit, and there we have it. There's your Pooh. So he's really fat this way because Pooh Bear's a little chunky monkey. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.